It's time to start another day of travel. I'm in Corvallis. It's right before 8 a.m. And it's going to be a nice day to travel because it's going to be about 80 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. And the sky is cloudy, but it's not going to rain. So pretty ideal conditions, we hope. Right now I'm in Portland, just outside of Union Station. And as often the case, I will just be pathing through Portland, going other places. I'm in Multnomah County today. Today I've been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Oregon counties. This is the second one on the ground. I'm at Pioneer Courthouse Square, the center of Portland. There's something going on. There's always something going on here. But for me, I'm going on a train. I'm taking a red or blue line west to Beaverton. Another day I'd like to spend more time in Portland, show more Portland, but not today. Today I have to catch that train. We are going through a tunnel and we're going through it really fast. Unfortunately, mostly what I can see is the reflection. This is Washington Park Station, probably the less deep or the deepest transit station in North America, pero probablemente menos que las estaciones de líneas 3 y 6 en Santiago del metro. Okay. Ciao, ciao, Estación Washington Park. I'm at Beaverton Transit Center, which is the terminal point of this train from the airport. The blue line would continue on to Hillsborough. Also a lot of buses here, and this is a big transit center. Not very busy. It's like 10:30 in the morning, 10:45 in the morning. And it's interesting also that I haven't really been here for maybe a dozen years. I'm trying to think of the last time. And even in that time, it's changed from the turn of the century, the 2000s, in Portland when I lived here, which even since that time, it's changed a lot, where Washington County, and Beaverton is the largest city in Washington County, or Hillsborough. It's changed a lot, and it's now almost as populated as Multnomah County. It's really grown. When I was a child, this was kind of a quiet suburban area, and today, it's a very busy place. And there's one more thing to see over here, which is this train platform, the West Side Express platform. This is a train, a commuter rail, different from the MAX, that goes between here and Wilsonville. And this was opened in 2008, and it never really lived up to its promise, even though I love trains. And part of that is that it only runs a few hours a day. It runs in the morning and in the evening like a commuter train. And if it was running right now, I could get to where I was going in 10 minutes, but it has like 4 or 5 runs in the morning and then 4 or 5, 6, 7 runs at night. So it's a really nice train station, but underutilized. So I'm going to find the bus I'm looking for, which is the 76 or 78, and I'm going to get on that bus. And one good thing about TriMet is it kind of arranges their rides so if you have 2 buses going to the same place but on slightly different routes, they'll run at different times, so you're never more than 5 or 10 minutes away. Okay, well, I'm gonna go look for that bus now. This sounds kind of silly, but another reason why there's not a lot of people waiting here is because the buses come and go frequently enough that there's not people waiting. So it really is a transfer center, not a waiting center. This is the Tigard Transit Center. On the other side of the tracks, that is the train station for the West Side Express service, the commuter rail. And those are working freight tracks as well. And over here is the rest of the train station, or excuse me, the rest of the transit center. It's just the bus shelters. This is kind of the last real suburb, well, one of the last real suburbs of Portland. And so this is kind of a terminal stop for a lot of bus routes. And I have a few more minutes here, so I'm going to go and visit the post office, and we'll see a little bit of Tigard. Here we have something that's common in a lot of places around Portland. This right here is the old Main Street. Well, it's still Main Street. So Tigard at one time was separated from Portland, was a small town, kind of a small farming town. And then at one point they built 99 West, which is on that overpass over there. And we saw that road, that separates from 99 East down in Junction City. Both of them travel to Portland different ways. So once that happened, Tigard kind of became a highway town, and it still is. So we have kind of like the old remnants of a downtown, and Tigard is kind of a mix of things. You know, there's the big box stores, there's the leafy suburban neighborhoods, there's the highway. So like a lot of suburbs, you know, people might have an image of it, but it has other sides. I mean, there's 50,000 people here, and on another day we might see more of that. But today, only stopping here for a minute. So from here, I'm getting on a non-TriMet bus. I'm going on a bus that goes out to a further suburb or small town. And TriMet buses run really regularly, and they have a lot of infrastructure, and they're very regular in general. And then once you get past, you know, like kind of this area, you know, when you get past of TriMet, then I'm going to be dealing with transit systems and buses that are a bit more seat of my pants, and that I have to really arrange my schedules for. The buses here, they pretty much run every 15 minutes, maybe every 30 minutes, from 5 a.m. to midnight. And so I'm getting on a bus that runs every hour or 2 hours. This is the Yamhill County Transit Center, located in McMinnville, and I'm going to go see what is in McMinnville. This is downtown McMinnville, a central dining and shopping district. Yamhill County is a wine-growing region, so among many other things, McMinnville has a lot of vineyards and breweries. For example, right over there, we have a tasting room. And hey, it's a nice warm Friday, and there's people out. A lot of this is also, this is post-pandemic, or at least, you know, kind of post-pandemic. So a lot of people are out traveling, because last summer and the summer before, wow, 2 summers, this wasn't really an option quite to this extent. So a break in the battle was our part. Looks like there's some type of street fair or street festival setting up over there. This is Highway 99 West again. I've been threading back and forth across this highway all day. This is also the highway that runs 5 blocks from my house in this direction. If I went through Monmouth and Independence in 20 miles and another 20 miles, I'd be in or close to Corvallis. And ironically, I'm actually here. I'm about an equal distance from Corvallis and Portland, but I had to come through Portland to get here. And maybe someday I can take a bus right here. That would be my dream. Anyway, we will be seeing more of 99 West today, and also seeing some other things. I'm in a park. This is just outside of downtown, just across 99 West, and here I was. And it's a very pleasant day to be in the park. The weather is still more or less perfect. A little bit too hot if I was active, but as long as I'm in the shade, it's about 80 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. It's about 2 p.m. and there's some water here. I'm gonna go look at the water, sit down in the shade, maybe eat something. Here we have some wild teasel, and like I said, it was a wet spring, so it is a very good season for plants, even though it's hot now. So this teasel is probably 9 feet, 3 meters high, and it's right here by this body of water. So good year for plants, especially invasive weeds. And this is the library with a nice fountain in front, and I always like to check out what is going on in the library. So in every small town like this, there's a section of town, maybe I should call it the dentist section, because it's where you have small offices of dentists, accountants, lawyers, that type of stuff. And that was the part of town I was just passing through. It looks like I'm just leaving. And then I will be going into the other part of town up at this traffic light, including Muchas Gracias, a very good Mexican restaurant for that type of thing. And hopefully they have a dining room, because I'm kind of hungry. So no reason to belabor this point too much, but even tourist towns and nice small towns, at a certain point they have the sprawl. We have a Circle K, we have a gas station, and we have a Sherry's, which is a very good restaurant for when you want to eat pie all night long. And of course we also have a Dollar Tree. And every time I see a Dollar Tree, I'm going to be like, is there like some lost treasure there? Maybe a book for $1.25 now that will consume a weekend, where I'll just float from a book I just found tucked away at a Dollar Tree. Anyway, so I'm going to check that out. This is the rest of, you know, little strip mall. And then it's actually getting close to the time where I do have to go back. And here, just 1 block away from, you know, the strip mall district, we're back to tennis courts and, you know, these nice streets, craftsmen's homes, you know, 1920s neighborhoods with shaded sidewalks. So this is pretty pleasant. The only problem is by the time I got here I was kind of tired, so I'm not moving at my fastest, and I won't get to see as much as I want to. Another thing to point out is that McMinnville has a population of 35,000 people. And so that's a lot smaller. Portland has a population of 600,000, I think now. Those counties, you know, the tri-counties around the Portland area have 1.5 million people. So 35,000 people is pretty small in terms of that. Not so small I can just walk around like a goober in the streets. So it's a lot smaller, and from people in Portland, a lot of times this is going to be the hinterlands. Like I said, I hadn't been here for a dozen years. When I lived in Portland, I went here once in 5 years. But also compared to Oregon as a whole, McMinnville County with 35,000 people, I think just this small town with these, like, you know, streets like this, that would be the 18th largest county in Oregon, maybe the 17th largest. I'll put a little graphic showing the counties that this city has more people than. And for that matter, I will show a graphic of the combined area in Eastern Oregon that equals the population of this small town. So this is kind of like in the middle. Is this rural? Is this suburban? Is this part of the urban Portland area? Technically it is. Yamhill County is considered part of the Portland metropolitan area. So that just shows how a lot of times these definitions might not match what people think. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. Here is an invitation to pick the roses, which seems like a good idea in some cases, but I think I will forego the offer today. I'm really enjoying it here. It's kind of a perfect day to visit as far as the weather goes. I'd like to spend more time here, but as is often the case in these adventures, have to get going. Hopefully I'll return here in the future. So I'm back at the transit center, and right now I'm kind of in the awkward position where 30 minutes until my bus leaves. Not really time enough to go anywhere else in town, but kind of a long way to wait, just, you know, sitting on a bench. I think there is something that's just 2 or 3 blocks away, and if it's further, then I won't go further. I got a map at the library, by the way. There's a park there in that direction, a few blocks away along the Yamhill River. The problem is now, even if I got there, I'd have like 2 minutes to look at it. So I'm just going to turn and go back this way, because I'd rather be early for my bus than late, because if I miss my bus, I have a train to catch in Salem and I won't be able to make it. I think I've talked about this before. Speed running, Super Mario Brothers, frame rule, etc. Speaking of speed running, what I'm doing today is kind of to show that I can. Because in practical terms, it would be very hard for someone in this area, McMinnville or Yamhill County, to commute to either Portland or Salem via bus. The schedules are just too disconnected and too circuitous. So what I'm doing right now, this is kind of like Palace of Darkness is in Logic with 2 mitts and the flippers. Doesn't happen too often, you can do it. But this is really kind of on the outside of how you can use transit in Northwest Oregon. Another invasive plant, and a very sturdy one and a very poisonous one. We have some nightshade here. Don't know if it's deadly nightshade or just normal bad nightshade. And as you can see, it's growing out of a grill. It can do that. So another part of our wet year is that plants like this are making even more of a nuisance of themselves. And I'm continuing this way. There's a house displaying the Ukrainian flag. Been pretty common this summer. That continues to be a thing.
Oh my gosh, I thought this bus was like turning around. Wait, it's only 4 o'clock right now?
No, currently it's 4:18.
Oh, okay.
It leaves that station, as in the McMinnville station, exactly at 4 o'clock.
What?
Get back into map at 3:48. Do that to your mom whenever you see her.
I'm gonna get back home at 6 o'clock. You got me into the biggest people I've ever been in. You got me into this people, dude. I said, because...
By the color of your tongues is not a pickle that's been in your face hole, so it's not really the case of it being a pickle. You've got each other into this damn frozen shit that you've been stuck into.
Well, it's not my fault. She's the one that said to get on this bus. You said to get on it.
It's not fair.
This is the West Salem Transit Center. We've been to West Salem before. And like a lot of transit centers that are like not even, a neighborhood transit center, it's just really a line of booths. Pretty big though, considering. And this is in Polk County. Salem is in Marion and Polk. This is in Polk County. And this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th county I've set foot in today, I believe. And I could take a bus just over to Salem, but I have 2 hours until my train leaves. And no reason to hurry. I just joined the afternoon. I'll go through the park that I went to when I was here last and just cross the bridge over into Salem proper. And just like it was a nice day in McMinnville, it is a nice day here in Salem in this park along the river. I'm about to cross this bike/pedestrian bridge that leads to Marion County. So it looks like a lot of people are using the beach today. And the water has gone down, at least enough for this to come out, this beach part. And I will continue to walk across this bridge. And when I cross this bridge, that will be the end of my 20 minutes in Polk County. And I will be in Marion County, not too far from the train station. Things seem a little more busy and happy here in Salem than the last time I was here, but really that might be my perception. May of 2021, still kind of the tail end of one of the waves of the pandemic. So maybe it's my perception, pretty active here today though, which makes sense. It's a Friday afternoon in July. So these signs have some type of political or social or economic message. Thing about propaganda, great to be snappy, but I have no idea what they're advocating for or against. This is the Salem Transit Center. Big transit center, lots going on. And a good question is, why didn't the McMinnville bus or the bus from McMinnville stop here? And it's one of those things where it would only take another 10 minutes to get across the river probably, but that's another 10 minutes each way. So that's something that transit planners kind of have to think about. Another point is, much like in Eugene, this is separate from the Amtrak station, which also hosts some of the regional buses. So this is, like Eugene, a place where regional and local buses don't really merge totally, but they don't have to. You know, different ridership for them, but it is something that can cause inconvenience. Okay, well, I am going to go to that train station very soon. And of course, no visit to Salem would be complete without at least going by the Oregon State Capitol. I didn't even know I was going to walk by it until I just saw it sitting there very dramatically. And I am in kind of a hurry, so not much to say about this, other than it looks like they're doing some type of construction or restoration here. But I have a train to catch. This is the Salem Amtrak station, next to the Salem Greyhound station. Very nice building. Predates Amtrak times. I forgot the exact era. And today I'm waiting for a bus just to go from Salem to Albany, which is a pretty quick hop, but either Amtrak is the only way to make that trip, because even though today I went a long distance on local buses, I went 80 miles from Portland to Salem, there is no local bus service currently between Salem and Albany, so I have to get an Amtrak bus. I mean, I like Amtrak, but there is no just, you know, hop on, hop off bus. And I am waiting perhaps an hour for that to happen. It's starting to cool off now, but still afternoon. It's still July.
All right, guys, looks like it's going to be 7:50 for our ETA for Albany. 7:50. Thank you.
I'm back in Albany in Lynn County. I went through here this morning on the bus, but now I'm here on foot. So today I've set foot in 6 or 7 counties: Benton, Multnomah, Washington, Yamhill, Polk, Marion, and Lynn, and then passed through Clackamas County. And last week I was in Lane County, so I've been to all of the Willamette Valley this past 8 days, past 7 days. And as usual, I'm going to complain about the last mile problem. The bus was late leaving Salem, and that actually just translated into having to wait less here because I waited there. But there's always some anxiety about that, you know, how late will it be? And that's one of the things that can kind of discourage transit, like by trains and stuff. You just don't know how late that will be. And for me, like, the more time I have to wait and I get tired, I always feel bad when I'm traveling, because am I going to lose something? Am I going to break something? I get kind of scattered and frazzled. Other than that, though, it's a nice, warm, late afternoon. Getting close to 8 o'clock here, but still afternoon in July. And kind of concludes my travel today. I saw a lot of things today, bits and pieces, no really, you know, thoughts to sum it up. Just that I like traveling, but maybe I'll take next week off, because I've been here a lot. There is the Amtrak Cascades train that just pulled in, and the reason I took the bus was that it was supposed to leave like an hour earlier before this train, and I wanted some buffer. But as it turned out, This train came in 10 minutes after we did. Of course, if this train would have been late, I would have missed the last bus. So just have to watch for that. And maybe someday soon we'll take the train south. And here we are back at the Corvallis Transit Center. This is the 8th transit center we've seen today. And it's almost 9 p.m. and it's still light out. Seems lighter than it was last week, even though I think that was earlier. And I'm returning home. And so one thought for me is, even though I said, you know, these places aren't that far and they're not that different, you know, Corvallis and McMinnville are 40 miles apart and they're kind of similar small cities. Like I said, I hadn't been there for a dozen years. And so the difference is that for me, for now, this is home and all those other places are not. And speaking of home, that is where I am going to go. Okay, well that was the adventure of today.